There we go. Well, I want to say to everyone, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where this broadcast finds you. Are you all able to see my screen share?
No.
Okay, let me see if I can get that figured out first here. Okay, just bear with me 1 minute, and we're going to be up here right now.
Share with me.
Okay, I don't know why that's not wanting to come up. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can do
We
this.
saw it for a moment and then it clicked out.
Oh, did you? You saw it for a minute? Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I had it up and I closed it. That was my fatal error. Okay, now let's see if I can't. Every once in a while, just as soon as I think I have this
Steve.
figured out.
Steve,
Hello?
I was eating.
What's that?
Okay, we can see it now.
Okay, you can?
Just not in presenter view. Yep.
Yep, I'm going to put it in presenter view and we should be okay. Great.
And I can see your view. So if you go up to display settings at the top left,
Oh, yeah.
swap.
Yeah, got it.
Wonderful.
Oh, I'm so glad you were here, Ella. I just learned something, everyone. Again, I want to just welcome everyone today to our 5th of 6 broadcasts, our Winter Living series. This is part 5 of 6, Harmony and Restoring Balance, Healing, Sharing, and Keeping the Fire Lit. Again, I want to welcome everyone. It's great to see some familiar faces and some familiar names in and around the audience today. So hope everyone is getting settled in. We've got a great group of panelists back again. I know Jim Weichel and Teresa Brewington are not able to join us today due to some schedule conflicts, and I'm hoping that Shirley Holmberg will join us momentarily. But we've got a great panel today, and a great lead from Kiave Bowen to get the discussion started. As many of you know, who have been attending our broadcasts, I see the chat box lighting up. Are we okay? Oh yes, there surely is here. Ella, can you just get her screen name changed over? I think she signed in under my log. So
Okay.
you can just get her name plugged in. So Shirley, we're really glad you're here. Shirley is coming to us from Fairbanks, Alaska. So hopefully she is out of the deep freeze, if that's possible, up there at this time of year. Again, I just want to say the inception of this series really was a group effort by the panelists, and our hope is to offer a safe and supportive venue to help guide each other through the increasing issues and concerns, including infection rates and deaths related to COVID-19 that we are seeing unfolding before us in these last several months. It is indeed a stark and troubling time, but as Ray Daw and the other panelists have assured me, we will persevere. Ray reminds me that the light will greet us in the springtime, and better days will follow. Better days are to come. I just have a couple of slides I want to share with all of you before I turn the floor over to Kiave. This webinar series is brought to you by the National American Indian Alaskan Native Addiction Technology Transfer Center. We are part of the ATTC network, which also includes 10 regional centers, a network coordinating center, and the National Hispanic Latinx Center. This project is supported by SAMHSA. The content is developed by the presenters, and the opinions expressed today do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of SAMHSA, HHS, or the American Indian Alaska Native ATTC. We also want to just acknowledge before we get started that we know that there is still a lot of stress related to COVID, as well as the current political climate. And we know this is stressful and difficult for many. And we know that there may be those on the call today with differing opinions. And we just want to remind everyone, as always, just to be respectful of one another as we share and exchange ideas. During today's webinar, you will be provided a GIPRA link to our evaluation. It's a very, very short survey. This survey will allow us to measure and monitor feedback from you directly. We value this. It's critical to our future work, and we would greatly appreciate your sharing of your thoughts with us in this short survey. We'll also reach out to you after today's broadcast with another opportunity to complete this short survey. And just as always, I want to remind everyone that all the data that we gather is confidential and will not identify you in any way. As most of you know, you are currently muted and will remain so for the duration of the webinar. However, use your chat feature or your hand raise feature if you want to post a comment or question to the panelists or to the other participants. Please do so in the chat. I'll be monitoring this during today's presentation if you don't have a mic or you're not able to communicate directly. The other option is to use the hand raise feature, or perhaps even unmute yourself and see if there's a possibility to make a comment with the panelists. We are going to be recording this event today, and we will be saving the chat conversation as well for future reference. So be mindful of this as you share comments and thoughts in the chat box. I put up some contact information for Sean Baer, our co-director here at the center, also one of our senior consultants and advisory council members, Ray Daw, and myself, the acting manager for the ATTC department. So with that, I'm going to pull down my screen share and see if we can't get that down successfully. And with that, I again want to welcome everyone. Thanks for letting me share those introduction slides with all of you. Really glad to see you all here. We've got a nice group. I want to turn the floor over to Kiave, and we'll see if we can't begin today's session in the right way.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kiave Bone, as Steve graciously pointed out to me. Thank you. His introductions are always very good. I guess if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to walk through a regular prayer with us, just to make sure that I'm okay and everyone else is okay here with me, to share some information.
Yeah, Kiave, we're losing your audio again. It's sort of in and out. It comes in and then it kind of fades. I don't know if others are experiencing that, but
is that better? I think it was that the computer was too far away.
yeah, it just sort of fades. It kind of you're real clear and then it fades out. Let's go and see if we can't. We'll keep going. I'll let you know. Thank you.
Okay. But I'm just gonna go ahead and do a quick prayer with us to start us off, and then we'll start with sharing some information. So if you will, just a moment of silence. Oge doda, kalala de he he, kalak we oge says the data do ahi. So go ya he, we gotta go e hatni elohi. Naskia si asi ogle kalasta yuti. Tago daily ho to ditugi. Skiud legis keshigwoskina. Yo ne hanikas ne go ha Elohim. Tgu we no le zahla ne gedi ius. Le ejelo wuktia ego hida. Go hida. Amen. Aski wo. Okay. Now you're gonna have to bear with me on this because I wanted to share this in a template. Let's see, presenter. Can you all see that?
We can,
Yeah.
we're still kind of losing your audio in and out. I'm wondering if we can't try to maybe have you use your phone to call in.
I will, yeah, I can talk to the person that said their audio wasn't working altogether. We can still hear you, but yeah, maybe just try to stay as close to the microphone as possible. Thank you.
I can do that.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm sorry about that. I didn't want to interrupt you there.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's see. Let me go back. So keeping the fire lit practices and understanding what comes through action and your intention. So just so we know where we're starting out, having the intention before you act upon anything that you're thinking of or wanting to do, having a clear understanding of what the outcome is, what you're putting into the measure, and how it's perceived by people around you. And the first thing to do this that teaches us traditionally is the three fires. The first of which is the sun that we can all, admit exists. When we look out at it, it goes from east to west every day, and it brings life with it when it comes. We see this in the flowers, we see this in the trees, we see this in all of the life that is around us. Well, even if you don't have those things, most things are happening within the daytime. And this is kind of a way of addressing that there is a higher power above us that we can see and we can quantify, and that we understand is there, is living, is real, and is affecting our daily life every day for all of the day that it provides. The fire that is given to us by Shkinetlan, our creator, whatever that may be for any of you, and seeing that, that physical fire was given to us as a gift. Now, this gift provides many different things, not just warmth or protection, but it also purifies our water and our food. It allows for us to have the things, I guess, transmutated into a way that we can imbibe in them with less worry. If you have, the unfortunate side of being towards Texas right now, I know that there was some reports of people having to boil their water, and these kinds of things, help with ingestion. And so I figured this would be a good moment to appreciate that fire does this for us, and heat and the composition that it brings. And this knowledge was brought to us by, our ancestors, or a gift that we could be receiving. Now, the fire that resides within us, all of us, is kind of like your spirit or your conscience, and how you convey yourself with someone else in that space in between. The best way to explain this that I usually do explain is how you come into a situation where you find someone else that you don't know. And even though you have no prior knowledge of this person, sometimes you get a feeling of who that person is, even before they speak or you speak. You're feeling their intention. You're feeling something off about them, or you're feeling something is good about them Either way, it is listening to that fire that is inside of you. Now, all three of these fires are very, very important to keep in control, in a sense that they need to be fed. They need to have, proper amounts of air, proper amounts of food, i.e., for the physical fire, having wood or good things to burn. Our sun needs lots and lots of energy. It needs space, and we need it. And our body itself needs food, nutrients. We need good, healthy relationships and understandings and boundaries with everyone that we interact with to be able to keep a clean, steady burn. But what happens when we don't have these fires in control is that we may lose our temper. We may not be in control of ourselves, or we may try to control others' fires. And this is always a very, very dangerous thing to do. Because if you lose control of yourself, you lose the ability to act upon your environment and all of the people within it in a good and helpful way. If you try to control someone else's fire, then that fire may reach back out and try to control you. But what happens if we let them go out? Then we lose our passion. We lose the ability to stay warm. We lose the ability to clean our food and our water. We lose the ability to grow life around us. And if the sun were to lose control, I'm sure that we would all pay the price dearly. So these are things to keep in mind when keeping the fire lit. Things happen in this world. And everyone is born into this world having some issues or having good things, follow them. We have guidelines and we have people to show us these. Whether you're male or female, when you're born, just on a biological standpoint, we view our duties related to that sometimes. Traditionally, it is to protect those in my role, to protect those around me. And, my mother's role was to make sure that she took care of me. It's a reciprocal role. We're all taking care of each other. But there are certain duties that, sometimes fall within characteristics of your birth when you're speaking in traditional terms. Names and how they're earned. We don't really do this anymore, except for on certain, situations where people do earn names. And a name is very important because one of my elders once told me there are two main things in this world that we do as people. One is to name things without names, and the other is to take care of those things with names. And if you search within those two confines, I've been thinking about it for, I think at least 16 years, trying to find out what doesn't fall within those two things. And it's so difficult for me to find things that don't fall into those two things. But I understand that I am a human, and my duty as a human is to name things without names and to take care of those things with the names. And if I'm falling outside of that, I'm no longer human, and I can't consider myself lucky enough to share in those things. So, names are important, and they're not always to be so rigid as my name, Keave Bone. I have many different names, and I've earned many different ones. Well, the three specifically, but those names, they become you, or you become them. You are given this name by your actions. In some social settings, we still do this. When you earn a nickname from your friends or your family, you are referred to as this thing, lovingly or not so much. But either way, it is an earned privilege to have that name. And you carry that name throughout whatever time that you can. until that name recycles and goes to someone else, or you recycle someone else's name traditionally. So Adah Gatkala is a neat stack of wood, but some pretty high level individuals have held that name. Or Ostanako, the big head. It's a great name. It doesn't sound like it, but it means that they carry the knowledge. But understanding that you were chosen for whatever it is that you're doing now, whatever that may be, here and now, listening, thinking, making notes, trying to have questions to ask, or, making, sure that, you hold me responsible for my statements, whatever it may be. In this time, thinking about why it is so may not be so useful, but understanding that you're in that moment and you are chosen to be in that moment, that you are sacred within this moment and you are always this way, will help you go through and understand yourself, your name, and what you contribute to others, because that name is something that influences your environment, your community, and all the things around you. It was given to you. You have that right, and you own that right. So I guess what I'm getting at is humbleness or honesty, whatever you call this, having the ability to own your own choices as it should be. Turn that down, okay. As it should be in your life. None of us are perfect. We've all made mistakes in our life. And learning from those mistakes is very hard in some senses. Sometimes it's not so hard. But I've noticed that if we have the ability to be honest and not deny those gifts that were given to us, no matter how heavy or hard those gifts seem to be, we can ascertain some level of greatness in those gifts. Last year, my uncle died and my auntie died. I lost both of them to cancer. And I've just heard last week that I lost a great friend to COVID-19. But I understand the weight of that loss because I've learned the lessons of the life that those people have led. My auntie was like a second mom to me. My uncle treated me as a son, even though he had some of his own, and I had no father to, account for me for most of my life. He showed me. His lessons were very, very difficult to learn, and most of them I didn't learn until he had passed. It's the same way with this friend and this, person that, comes to ceremony and helps out and does things. Really, really, really put everything that he had into his community and his family. I learned those lessons. I took some part of it while they were alive, but when they left me, it taught me a bigger lesson that even though they're not here, I can still learn from them. They can give me that gift if I choose to pick that gift up and use it. Because what they created was a space and time in my mind and my heart, and in lots of people's hearts and minds. And I share those pieces with other people, and I can bond with them. I can show them who I am and how I related to that gift that they gave me. Finding the trials and tribulations are a part of who you are, because the ones you participate in and the ones you don't will shape and mold you into the person that you're becoming or that you already are, and how you influence your world. If If you try to understand those that have come before you and given you this life and this place and time. I love to think about this because we as indigenous peoples on the North American continent have 500 years of oppression, but we have thousands and thousands of years previous to this of knowledge, of medicine, of practice, of understanding, of building, ingenuity. We have so much strength. And it is this way with other peoples from different continents as well. But we have an understanding that's just a bit different. Maybe it's because we were put on this part of the patch of the earth and not the others. And we have different interactions because of who we are and where we were placed. Locale seems to make some bit of a difference. I'm not sure if it's good or bad, but we have what we have. And I take more than pride, I take honor in that place that I've been given, in that understanding, my lineage, who I come from, who has made me, and who has given me these practices, these understandings, and who has created a space in time, in emotion, in mind, in heart, in body, and soul, in practice. I have learned to become the man that I am. And this leads me to Gadugi. What is explained or expressed as community, or the understanding of those around you and your actions and how they are judged by the ones around you. Treating others with Gadugi and having your family and community and vice versa. When I say this, I mean everyone that I lay my eyes upon is my family. They are my community, but they're also my family. They are the ones that teach me. They're the ones that learn from me. And they are the ones that give me purpose. They give me responsibility. And that responsibility has to be earned in every sense, in every endeavor. And this is what comes to practicing Gadugi Dikanawadasti, or the laws of community, is what has taught me and helped me through this COVID-19 pandemic and all the different mini pandemics and trials and tribulations, hardships, losses, wins, great wins in my life. It has taught me how to conduct myself, because I've learned to control my fire. And I know that I have no control over others, but I can show an example through this chain. A community forms a relation, and it's chain that we are all tied to some way or another, whether it be lineage, it be social interaction, it be a song, a dance, maybe we're going to ceremony, or maybe we share the same water. But we all exist in this place called Gadua in my language, my native tongue. And Gadua means the center. And I relate to the world in a 7-directional view. I have my center, I have up, I have down, I have east, west, north, south. And that is how I orient myself. And I orient others to me. And if I don't understand where I am, where I've come from, or where I need to go, then I am lost. And I am lost without my 7 directions. I'm lost without my center. And I know that some of you may not have that. Or maybe you know somebody who doesn't. But understanding yours gives us a greater worldview of what it is to have a center and what it is to know what east is. That's the sign of new beginnings. That's where my sun comes from. It comes up from the east and it greets me every single morning. Me, and it greets you too. It goes in the west. It's still looking for the missing pieces of the match code of it in our story. But it makes its journey. It has its purpose. It has its job. And it follows the same directions that I follow in my own practice and my own walk. And I cannot change these, but I can definitely show up in how I practice my walk and my understanding of my directions and their guidance. There is always a payment to be made for obtainment of any kind. So understanding that that payment does not have to be bad. I may go to work every day and work some good shifts and make good money and give up the time that I have within my weekdays so that in the weekends I can spend good quality time. My family doesn't have to worry about if the power's on or if our water is going to be running or if we have a home to stay in or if we have means to enjoy ourselves in maybe a little extra way. We get to eat what we want to eat and not what we have to eat. Or we get to enjoy certain things that we like a little more by payment. Or it could be that you go out and you do good things, or you find a way to be safe with others, or you educate one another on how you are practicing your walk and your guidance. And they will start to do the same. And they show others what wonderful things that you have showed them. And they get that feeling that you have given to them because maybe somebody has given it to you. Or maybe Skinethlana, our creator, or whatever it is that you call your guidance, your muse, this thing that tells you these things and that you have a firm understanding over that is helping you walk and you show someone else. There is nothing in this world that can take that from you but yourself. And understanding that that power is irrefutable. You have the ability to walk with Gadugi at all points in life. Your intention matters, and how you show up definitely matters. Learning the traditional way and why it's to be done this way. So learning traditionally, I come from the base of a storyteller because I was chosen to be this, a historian. Someone who is, they lose part of the magic of the story because they are told a story so many times that they must understand every inflection, every pause, and every meaning through and through the whole story, understanding what words to use and what words you can't use. If you do change it, how to change it and where at. Most of the times you can't. You can add something onto the end, i.e. like the fable of it or the lesson that is learned, or maybe before it, but hardly ever is it changing it while the story is happening. So that unbroken chain of knowledge being passed from one person to the next has happened for thousands of years. That story has been told over and over and over. Millions of times. It has to be. Because for each person that gains this knowledge and is accepted to tell the knowledge and to spread it with others so that the knowledge stays current in the population. And that knowledge can be a resource for others and all who hears it. Storytelling is a way of learning. And it is to learn how to be patient, how to look at the hidden meanings because it's told to you so many times, listening for the nuances and inflection, the pauses, and the space in between telling someone something and giving someone a scare or an emotion or provoking something, the evocation of having a relationship with the person on the other side without knowing what is going on in their mind, their body, or their heart, but influencing it in a way that you have no control over. Being able to understand your presence within that time and being able to practice it. Because if you do not, someone may not see you as genuine, and they may discount the knowledge within that story because you did not practice your walk. That is a great responsibility, and we all carry it in some form or another. But knowing this and being a practitioner of traditional learning and traditional teaching, if we learn those lessons, we can further them. Each storyteller has to become more erudite, more intelligent than the last, because they must learn all the stories that have come before them, and they must make more with deeper meaning, stories relating to the times in which they live in, learning how to control their self, to act upon their environment and the way that they show up, and the way that they are perceived and seen as a teacher without being demanding and having that evocation without provocation. Having someone make those lines or create those lines themselves. Like with this pandemic, none of us knew the exact protocol that we needed to take. I seen this within my job. We changed policy. I think it was probably 200 and something times within the first 2 months. I don't know how any one of us were keeping up, but we were. And I knew this because of the change. We were learning. We were acting upon our environment, and we were acting upon this pandemic, learning how to interact and control ourselves and put out policy for other people was a way of caring. It was learning, albeit it was hard, but it was necessary. And everyone has gone through this and is still going through it throughout the fires, this massive snowstorm, and the understandings of the climate change, both political and reality of weather change. We are all experiencing a nuance of change. Being able to adapt is amazing. And I have no doubt that we are going to be okay. We will see the spring. We will see that summer. And our people will come through this, not just as Indigenous people, but our people. All of us. We all were chosen to be here. We all have chosen these things for ourselves and others. We are all responsible. A great weight comes with it, but also a great sense of honor should follow that responsibility, that feeling of that weight. It is not just the weight that is heavy to us. It is also the acceptance of us being able to take those strides and to do the things that we need, and being able to understand those winds that are coming into our life, those gifts that we've been given, either by forces unknown to us or forces that are known, or by our family, our friends, and our community. These are gifts, and we should never discount them. And I just wanted to give you guys a preface of the understanding of Gadugi di Kanawadasti. And I'll just, go through a couple of my favorite ones, or a few of my favorite. And then I would really, really like to get on the chat board, or, have some understanding and some talk with this, because there are a lot of thoughts that ramble through my mind, and I can't stop them. I don't know if I ever want to, but I know that I have only my thoughts to go off of when I speak. And I would love to have interaction, because I learn and I progress from this. So without further ado, of course, number one, strengthen one another and encouraging thoughts, kind words. Always live with purpose and never abandon what you start. So that's a big one. It's hard to complete. Love your neighbor as a mother would a child. Be stingy with your time with others and enjoy every second that you get. Wow. Treat others' existence as sacred. I'm not treating you as important, or saying that your life matters, or that, your things that you do in your life that matter. I'm treating your existence as sacred. Work together in every endeavor. Work alongside one another together. Everyone works at the same pace to be together and work. Live and be skilled in all areas of life. Be gentle in your commands to each other. Include one another whenever possible, and enjoy and appreciate their contribution, however many. Include them. Direct one another in the right way with love. If I'm coming to someone with a problem, I know that there's a dysfunction. I need to know why I'm having a hard time with interacting with that individual. And it helps if I remind myself why I enjoy my time with that individual, because I'm not being able to enjoy my time with that person or that group. And I'm not being able to have that sacred space between us, because something is stopping it. It doesn't have to be a computer. It doesn't have to be space. But whatever it is, I think of the reasons why I love that individual, and I remind them that I love them, not just in my words, in my actions, in my tone, and in my cadence. Being able to work my fire so that their fire is seeing mine, and we're doing it together. That is building, and that's Gadugi. This is the end of that piece, but I would really, really like to just have a bit of talk, either with our other panelists, or even throughout the chat board. But if I stay in these thoughts and I ruminate more, bad things might happen. No, I'm just kidding. Bad things won't happen. But I really enjoy, and I really appreciate you guys allowing me to come and speak on what it is of keeping the fire lit, especially within these times. I appreciate you greatly, and I want to hear from you. Thank you.
Gabby, I think you can exit your screen share too. So if you want to pull that down. We have a lot of
I don't
comments in the
do it.
chat.
Oh, pause share.
Yeah, you can just take that part down. We have a lot of comments in the chat, and I have a hand up. Terry Lee has her hand up. So
Hi, thank you. This really resonated with me because I have been trying to share what I've learned to help other people in their journey to start making regalia themselves. I've been careful to be clear that I'm not sharing any kind of protocol, just here's how you can sew things together, or, you know, general information where people might be stuck. And I feel like it's important to share this knowledge with people. However, sometimes I get met with some pushback, people trying to be argumentative, or you're doing this wrong, or when, you know, I'm really being clear that there's no protocol that I'm sharing. It really makes a lot of us afraid to share with each other. How could I approach, how can I solidify what I'm saying without arguing with other people, because I don't want to do that.
I got this. I love this kind of talk. I love this because it teaches you so much within that understanding of how to. And I'm sorry if it sounds bad, but I love taking that energy when someone has got this rage and they're so angry and they want to lash out, and you can feel it before you even, you know, say your piece. Being able to accept that energy, and I explain this as it's easier to hit a wall all day long than it is to hit the air all day long. You will wear yourself out faster hitting the air, trying to catch something that isn't there, than when you hit something and you make contact and you feel that pushback. So being able to accept their anger before they even release it. If you know that they're going to discount what you're doing, I understand. And I feel you. And I want to do this because this is the reason. I don't want you to be in that space. It takes them out of it. And it gives them something else in place. But it's not that anger they were looking. It's something else entirely. And I love being able to say, I hear you. Or if it's of your past, own it. Take it from them. Yeah, I did that. You're right. But I'm trying to do this because I love you, because I care about you, because I want you in a better spot. And I don't have to have negative feelings to want better for you, because you are part of my people. You're part of my community. And that means part of my family. That's how I do it.
That is extremely helpful. Thank you so much. We are a traumatized people. And so I have no hate in my heart when people are coming from a place of pain. I understand that. So this really helps me reach out to them better. Thank you.
yeah, we're getting a lot of requests for a copy of the Gadugi laws that you shared. If you're okay with that,
Of course, I can send can I send a document to you, Steve, and then you send it with me?
yes, I'll have Ellis and send that out. Just getting some feedback on my audio. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay.
I was going to, can you hear me okay? Thank you so very much for your life, for what you have learned, for what you're passing on and sharing. My daughter and I got COVID the end of January, and then the snow and the ice in Oklahoma has us physically isolated, and I've gotten out of my routines and nourishing routines of meditation and prayer. And I found an article that I have in my little book. I call it my soul book, the things that support me and my soul. And it was an article, an interview with John Trudell, and it was called The Spirit Eater. And it talked about how so much in American society is designed to pull you away from who you are. And that put it into perspective to me. And I had kindness for myself because I've been dealing with the illness and a sick kid and being at home. And it put it in perspective. And this talk today and everything that you have shared is strengthening and reinforces that. And I am so grateful. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me? Yate. She Eloise Darwin. Adon and Shlini Torich in Slot last year, Bashish Chin, but Anita Shichido, Shindasunal. So the first speaker, I really appreciate your prayers. I love his language. I don't know. I don't think he said what clan he is, but I do appreciate him. And then in the process of this training, I had to reacquaint with one of the radar Yate. So I work with palliative care at Gallup in the Medical Center. It's a really tough, heartbreaking job that we do here at the Gallup in the Medical Center. One of the only palliative care within the Navajo reservations. And it's been so wonderful talking to my elders. Before the pandemic, we used to go to their floor and introduce myself and see who is this grandma and who is this grandpa. But right now, because of the COVID, it's been a horrible 2020 year. And for me, I have not turned the page yet. So we're still trying to deal with treatment. And one of our elder folks out on the reservation, the palliative care doctors were taking vaccination over there. She cried so hard that she said that medicine was hope to continue to live on, continue to live for her grandkids. So every day that just like the other gentleman said, that we had to say our prayers right at dawn with our corn pollen or cornmeal, and then at noontime with our corn pollen, and in the evening yellow cornmeal, and also do our mountain tobacco in the evening before we turn in for the night. And we ask for the blessings to our great spirit that we talk to every day, and we request for healthy well-being and safety, and the people, the population that I work with, and we never, they never lose hope. There's always hope that they can continue to see another day, and that's what they strive for every day, and it's just so hard just dealing with that one. So this training is an enlightenment for me, and it takes time away from all this everyday stress that we deal with, that we talked about goals of care, meaning that the prognosis, we're worried that things are not not doing good like we're hoping, but we hope that you can just bear with us, and we're gonna treat you well, and but also we hope for the best and prepare for the worst, and not in that kind of words that we talk to or people, but they understand, and it's just so great that when I introduce myself, and the doctors, the two doctors, Dr. Vaughn and Dr. Mann, I introduced them. This is Dr. Mann, då Dr. Mann är footage in. So I really love my patient when they look up, no matter how painful they are, how sick they are, and how weak they are, they look up to the doctor, Dr. Vaughn and Dr. Mann. They say, Ash ani ete footage in. I said, yo, ani, yes, that's right. And I see that wonderful, beautiful smile, and that's the joy that I always remember on their face. So this is what I want to share, and I really appreciate all the training that you provide, Steve, and your group. And I'm not sure where you're all located, but I thank you. And I missed the first session that I was so busy running around, and I knew I had to attend that training, but I just let that go. I hope that that one will be back on later. So I just wanted to say Yate, and thank you for doing all the good job that you have out there. Thank you. I can't have.
So a lot of comments coming in on the chat. Didn't know if our other panelists had thoughts to share. I know Doc Foster and Sean Bear have shared some things in the chat, but the floor is open to panelists or participants.
Good morning, it's Shirley Holmberg. How is everybody? I hope it's not 11 below where you're at. And I hope it doesn't get down to 31 below tonight. Thank you, Kiawe, for sharing. You have a lot of knowledge and you're a young person. Me, I'm 100 years old still. I was thinking about restoring balance, and myself, I have to work on that every day. One of my aunts just passed away a couple of days ago. And now that I'm older, there's certain things I can do. And I'm still, I think some of you heard me talk about doing potlatch giveaway for my mom. And it seems like I'm the only one that lives in Fairbanks that is not really busy, like working and stuff like that. So I wound up doing the bulk of the giveaway, and my sisters help. One lives in a village called Northway, and it's about 250 miles away, and the other one is here, and she's got her own business and then works for a company that helps people. And I just find myself thinking quite a bit about my aunt that just passed, and then my mother and all of her things. I probably touched just about every one of her things, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. She had like a 10 by 10 by 10 storage with over 118-gallon tubs, plastic totes with her belongings in it. And we had to sort through all of that. And we now have, she was a sewer. She sewed material, she sewed skins and furs, and she crocheted and knitted. For those of you that crochet and knit, I have about 8 tubs of yarn. If you want any, message me your address. We've been getting ideas on how to do it, since we can't practice our ways right now, yet we have to get this done, or she can't move on and we can't move on. And it's been a long process. She died in April of 2017. And then the following year, my sisters weren't ready to have a potlatch. Emotionally, they weren't ready. Mentally, they weren't ready. Spiritually, they weren't ready. And then the next year, our other sister passed away around the same time. One of them passed away on my sobriety birthday, and the other one passed, or we buried her on my sobriety birthday. So then COVID came along, and we couldn't gather up like we normally gather up. And so we had to meet again and decide what to do. And we decided to do the giveaway. I mean, that's not following what we normally do. And sometimes we have to create new things in order to carry on old things. So we're doing the giveaway. I'm at the tail end of it. Hopefully in the next couple of days, I'll get the last of those tubs. If you guys sew things, I have lots of material. Mom had like 30 tubs of material, all different kinds. She was if you know what a Bernina sewing machine, she had a Bernina center. So she was crazy about material. But hopefully I'll get it done. I want to say I want to get it done. Maybe I'll set a goal in front of all of you. Get it done by Sunday. I just have to put it in my truck and move. So to restore my balance, I've been thinking about how to restore my balance. I think about mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual balance, right? All of that has to be balanced for me to be, for me to even lay down and take a nap. And I do things like meditate, I pray quite a bit. I have skills. I have skills to restore balance. And it's easy if I'm by myself. I live with my partner and my son, my 42-year-old son. They both work. So I'm having to deal with, you know, my family members' energy in the same home that I'm in. So like everybody else, I learned to let go and let God thing, get on with life. I know the mind my own business thing. I know how to detach from everyone because I have good children of alcoholic skills. I also know how to isolate real well growing up in the home I grew up in. So I'm reminding myself to be respectful. My partner just got diagnosed with cancer, lung cancer. He's got a spot in his lung, and he's having to deal with the feelings, the thoughts, the spiritualness of that, the physical part of it. His body's reacting. It's not huge. It's there. So I'm in a home with two men, two of my favorite men, and they're dealing with their stuff too. And I'm doing my best to be the most respectful person, to restore balance. I was taught that if someone hit me, it would affect me mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And if the person that hit me was my loved one, I would have to be thinking about it mentally. Why did my loved one hit me? Emotionally, I'd probably be crying. Physically, it would hurt physically and might leave a bruise. And spiritually, I'm taught that our spirit sticks out about, if I put my hand over my other hand about 3 inches, I can feel my own energy. So I'm taught that we have an inner and an outer spirit. So he entered my spiritual space without my permission, not showing love or kindness. So I grew up with that. My father tried to kill me a couple of times, once by drowning, once with a knife. And growing up in the home I grew up in, I never had the coping skills because I was raised by a mother who went to boarding school for 6 years, and also by a father who grew up in a mine from age 12 to age 18 with minor men. If you know how minor men are, they can be pretty, they're men, all men environments. So my folks taught me some coping skills, but not the ones I needed to learn. I had to learn those. And they both were raised by people, my grandparents, who were in a world that was changing here in Alaska for that generation. they were the generation that had to learn how to work in the world that you see. And so their parents' life were disrupted. Their lives were severely disrupted. And then I was raised by those two wonderful people. They were doing the best they could with what they had learned. So to restore balance is something I had to learn. My reaction, like when I was growing up, I reacted. I reacted with violence, with drugs, with alcohol, with things that really didn't help me. I learned to, of course, not trust, not talk, and not feel. As a teenager, I was a ward of the court from age 13 to age 18. My discipline, learning discipline, came from the environments I got to be in. And some of it was really good. You know, I learned through that to discipline myself, not to flip out and hurt anybody. But drinking alcohol until age 35 and using cocaine till age 35, not every day, but using it. Some people say it's recreational use. Doesn't help somebody that was as traumatized as I was. Thank God I got into recovery at age 35. I'm 68 going on 69 now. But through that process of recovery, I dealt with my issues, keep dealing with them if they come up. And I learned how to restore my own balance. And I'm doing my best to model that around my son, around my daughter, my grandchild, my partner. My partner was kind of raised like me. So anyway, I didn't want to make this a sad thing. This made me think. I put a website on the chat, and we have a Athabascan cultural values. And someone was talking on our planning meeting at one point. I'm into learning about the brain studies and about genetics and how things are passed on. I do some things that I do that I don't even know where I learned it. I could go out in the woods and I'm happy as a clam out there. I know, of course, I'm out in the woods for a purpose. I'm not just out there wandering around. There are things that I know that weren't taught to me. And I think I had to be clean enough inside to think and learn more. And also I was blessed to be around elders all the time. So I learned quite a bit from them, and they even counted on me to put away an eagle and put away some ravens and, you know, do some things that they didn't know how to do. But I could talk forever. And I hope I'm not just, my brain is not just wandering. When I come to this webinar, I try to think about the theme and what it means to me. And because I'm 100 years old, because I'm 100 years old, I got some skills, right? And younger people, if you're way younger than me, like in your 20s or 30s or something like that, you got skills too. Because you've been gaining wisdom since you were born. I guess I had to learn to discipline myself because in the environments that I was in as a teenager, I learned discipline. When I was out of that environment, I had to keep disciplining myself. I mean, I did some kind of off the wall things. I was growing up in the 60s, late 60s and 70s, back in the hippie days. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. Dan Foster, Deborah. I grew up back then and we kind of, I kind of wandered all over. I hitchhiked all over in the States. I went to some Indian schools, and there's some radical people around. American Indian movement was going on, Black Power, all that stuff was going on, concerts, all that. And I did my share of whatever else was going on during that time. I'm still here though, you know, Creator has some reason for me to still be here. I have to really mind what I do, what I put out there, what kind of words I'm saying to you guys. And I don't want to be a big sad sack. I usually talk about whatever comes out. Anyway, that photo of me dancing, because I can't figure out how to turn my camera on again, I worked on it for hours, Steve, this morning. Dan, you guys, I still couldn't get it on. So I put that picture up there, and that's one of me. I'm singing and dancing. There's a drummer somewhere on that stage, but we're sharing culture. And that's how I think I was demonstrating how a man dances, because women don't do that. Women don't do that move. I was teaching people how our men dance and how our women dance. And that's a man move. So sorry, you guys. In case you didn't know how to do it, that's how you do it. Anyway, Anabasi, thank you very much for listening to me. And I hope you guys have an awesome weekend and awesome lives. Anabasi.
Bossy Shirley, thank you.
And I wanted to just come in and say thank you to Shirley as well for sharing story. I really appreciate that. And that is a wonderful gift that you've created for that space. For all of us, how many do we have here? 88 now. It was at like 106. I appreciate you all, and thank you so much, Shirley. And I wanted to say, you know, within life experiences, that makes sense to me. I feel that. I felt it, and I hear the hurt. And I appreciate you being vulnerable enough to actually share that with so many people. It's a wonderful gift. And when you were talking, I was reminded of something my auntie said before she died, hoping that, you know, things do go get better for your husband. And I'm sorry to hear that news. But she said, I don't know why Creator has given me this gift, but I'm trying to find it. And I know that I've got two, you know, young kids to raise, but I know that my community will raise them. And she said, death is a gift for me because I want to do it right. She planned and she did everything that she could. And the council had passed Becky's Law before she died. Well, while she was dying, she couldn't see that the gift was given, that we now have our own time to speak on any subject that we want through our council. and we didn't have that right before her. So thank you, Shirley.
Kelly, thank you. You were in and out a little bit there. Just if you can come in closer to the mic as you share in the future. Thank you.
Hello. Just wanted to say hello to everybody and the beautiful faces of our young ones. And, I'm told I'm an elder, but I told them, no, not yet. I got so much more to learn. I'm just an old lady still getting knocks in the road and trying to learn. But Shirley, thank you for your sharing. Went through that time as a young woman too. Um, just happy to see everybody and our people. Went through a hard winter, did go through a bad depression enough to send me into the hospital. So I had to recoup a while. I work in the chemical dependency field, and that can wear you down, but I still have a lot to give, still have a lot of hope and a lot of caring, hoping for things to open up. And QA, I did like the sharing that I got from your teachings. They were beautiful. I am from the Ho Chunk Nation, but I didn't catch what nation you are from. But I love everything you had to say. It was just beautiful. So forgive me for coming in late, though.
I can clear that up. I'm sorry. But I if you guys will allow me to do it properly, I Gail Finko said you called Dogwado. Ani Kawi, Ani Gidua, Atatli Ski Ani Giduoga. I am Cherokee or Katuan from Cherokee, North Carolina. I come from the Deer Clan, and I'm one of the warriors of Anigaduas, an association. I'm a person that tells stories, so I'm a historian, and I'm also Kanakamaoli or Hawaiian and Lakota Sioux Sicangu, people of the burnt thigh.
So kind of a native Heinz 57 going on there. Thank you.
Anine, I am Teresa Subril, and I was asked here to share a little today if I could. And I'm looking to share with you. So I love what Kiawe shared, and I love all that Cheryl shared. There's so much to the fire teachings in the winter, and I think as a woman and in our communities that we need to think about the brushing of hair again, the brushing of our daughters, our nieces, our sons, and how we go about it to reconnect. So we're thinking about COVID and what we can and can't do culturally to take this back and to do with this love and this time. To think about the planning that we would do in the winter fires as women, our home fires, our fires within that we carry on. Hardships, good times, keep us humble, keep us dreaming, keep us planning. So what are the goals? What are the needs? What are the barriers? And to open that line of communication while we put that love in the hair, to remember whether we never had or we had grandmothers who brushed our hair with love, sisters, friends, to first try to remember that. Smudge if you have it, bake something if that's your smudge that brings that feeling throughout the house. Make do with what you got. It's going to make yourself, your family feel some kind of way. If it is just you, to do for self this way. Think about little kid you, bring that back out again, those home fires. Little kid you dreamed in the middle of winter and didn't feel the chill of the cold. But remembers grown up you and would doll you up and keep you humble, keep you righteous. So to remember those home fires as a woman. as a mother, as a sister, as an auntie, to think about what we can do in our community and our neighborhoods by just what are we going to do with our yard this spring? Well, we can save up enough pennies to get these seeds, get that together, then our neighborhoods pick up. But it's something to look forward to. Watch that life grow. And it's other things going on. That's the balance countering of all these hardships and loss of life. So to think about those kind of plannings and work with your family. Maybe other plannings might be build a bench, build a birdhouse. We want to bring these little beings back in and hear their songs again. Do we miss the songs? What perks us up? What's the invaluable, priceless gifts that we do have no matter what's going on? That is a part of our culture. And we have that. So, Miigwech, I just wanted to share a little bit that way. Hope you all have a good day. I'm going to continue listening.
Miigwech, Teresa, thanks for being here today. Appreciate that.
Hello again, Yate. Back to the subject or teaching that was presented by the fireplace chat. I like that. But in our teaching, in our culture, with the way at the before the dawn, I remember my mother, Indian young lady, she would be up at the crack of dawn, and in the summer, taking care of our livestock. We don't sleep in the nice cozy tent. We just sleep under the shade house with our heads sticking out the shade house, looking at all those stars at night, and we would laugh and talk about half of the night. And then early in the morning, my mother is the one that is up about 3:30. She had her fire going already outside, and then here she comes, and I could hear her, and she would just pull the whole blanket off of us, and there's a poles out there. She just hang the blanket out there, and it was like we're all in the fetal positions, and that's the way that we greet the morning. And so the fireplace, that is or che, and the fire poke is our che and our grandmother, and our mother will be cooking and whatever that milking the goats and making pancakes in the morning. And after when she's done, she feeds the fire and says some prayers and put the charcoal back together. And she talked to the holy people, and she asked for blessings and safety and continue to on with the livelihood. And that is the most sacred thing that I remember. Mother is a person that carried me in her womb for 9 months. She never said, okay, it's time for you to get out. And she carried us all the way, and along the journey, she would take us, and she would have the or people would have the fire poke. That has been lit. The fire has been lit way at the eons of time, and the teaching says that we cannot not let go of or fire. And if the fire is all gone, then and there's a problem, and we need to fix it and have that relit, and it came from generation to generations with some good teachings. So the person that spoke the first one with his prayers, and I take it that he's talking from his heart and from all his teachings and his grand folks, and that he remembered. And I think that that's how he's talking. So this is what I want to share, that our mother and father and our grandmother, grandfather, Shema, Shijedo, Shichedo, Shinale, Shinale Sado, Shinale Ski, Shiche, Do, Shemasana, and I remember their teachings, and when the tough times, or when we're walking against that, and I always remember, and we talk to them, and at the time of a great need, and we go on and we lit our fire, and we sit by our fire and our charcoal, and we take out our tobacco, and we pray again, and we eat warm meals, and we're happy again. I just want to share that one as I remember growing up. I can't.
Hello, this is Shirley again. If any of you are receiving anything from me in the chat that is like a personal file, just, I don't know how to delete it. So I'm not chatting anymore, or all of you will get copies of my bills and copies of my love letters and all that stuff. So, so I won't chat anymore.
Shirley, I got the one that you sent me by mistake, and I didn't, it's only in my inbox, so I deleted it. So,
Well, I was trying to respond to Lisa, and there's some ladies that want some yarn or material, and I didn't want to put it out there, but I accidentally sent Lisa something from Chase, you know, the bank called Chase. Just a little note there. So it's not for you. I'm what do you call it? Technologically, how do you say it? Kiawe? No.
Knowledge.
I'm illiterate some way as far as computers go.
Challenged.
Okay.
This is Teresa again. I know we don't have too much time, and there was just a few more things I forgot to share with you guys that I thought would be important in this time, also concerning the topic. When you're working with your family or your loved ones, brushing their hair, braiding their hair, things like that, I would also inquire, what is it they're curious about, of their stories, your culture's stories, ceremonies, your manaduks, so like your great beings. Who is it they're wondering about? It may open up some conversations during that time, and that kind of medicine and bonding, that fire, is really important, to reopen that and to help them find that together safely in a good way. So that's what I wanted to add. Miigwech.
we do have some time. We're scheduled to air until the top of the hour. So we've got about 20 minutes. So the discussion can continue if the group would like, or other panelists who would care to comment. The floor is open.
Almatakipi. Thank you for all the words. When you see me smiling, folks, I'm going to do a proud daddy moment. Our daughter is a wrestler, and don't ask me why we moved to, and so you see me laughing because they're not letting us into the hotel yet. All the Indians, the white people are going right on into the hotel. We're at a state wrestling tournament, only we can't go live. We just can go when our children are actually wrestling and have to wear flag. But the wind is blowing so hard that rocks are hitting my car. And but the Indian people are visiting with each other out by the cars. So they're sending us back out to the parking lot. And this has gone on all my life in Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota. They're laughing and joking with this bitter wind and 10 below zero. And I just smile because that's what we learned to do. I thought of that. It's like the circle of our life. And I was testifying for 3 days this week on a trial, trying to take some of our kids from us from the Sichanga Lakota reservation. And they don't like our circular talk. They want us to, well, the judge actually came out from behind a microphone to stand in front of the camera because she was behind the camera to tell me to answer just yes or no. And I've had that happen many times in South Dakota State Court because they were arguing this crazy theory that if these children were moved back to their relatives' home, that they would get reactive attachment disorder. And they had a licensed professional counselor and a psychiatrist testified to that. And it's not that I don't think attachment matters, I do. But I talked about resilience. I talked about strength. I talked about healing and overcoming. I talked about it, those of us that have overcome a lot in our life, not just Indian people, but we're strong and we can help. We're the elders that can help you now. Those of you that see my yellow teeth, I want you to know that one of my boys, my wife told him, brush your teeth. And he said, no, I want them yellow like dad's. So the tradition is going to continue in my family. He's honoring his elder. And I see in Indian country, we always said a plastic surgeon would go nuts because we don't aspire to the same bodies as our white relatives. Who cares, about a butt job or a boob job or something? Who cares, but there's people that pay out big monies and get sick and get infections and stuff. But back to my daughter, she wrestled for 3 years as a heavyweight on the men's team. And the reason they're so mad at us is because of who won in the national presidential election. And so we're happy. And if you're opposed to him, I'm sorry for you. We'll comfort you, but we're happy because these have been 4 years like the 50s here with the rudeness and the overt racism by so many of our white relatives. And so I'm getting a taste of it right now as we speak. And my daughter, brown as she is and big as she is, she had to deal with Indian shaming. She had to deal with fat shaming. She had to deal with being a woman. You got breasts, I'm not wrestling you. You got a penis, you're wrestling each other. What's your point? Anyway, I'm proud of her. She answers things with humor, with balance, with love. And this year they have women wrestling. And my daughter qualified for state the 4th time. Only this time she's seated number 1 in the state as a heavyweight female wrestler. And so that's why I'm here in Billings, Montana, to watch my daughter bring home a first place state wrestling championship against another heavyweight Indian wrestler who's undefeated. So whoever wins tomorrow, we're still winners. Us of the Indian nation, this other young lady's from Fort Peck. And so I share those words. Thank you, Teresa, for mentioning the hair. There's so many things that I don't care to contribute to culture tourism, and I don't care to contribute to trauma tourism. And thank you, Shirley. Your words are precious, and we for those of you that are not native, we aspire to be real. We aspire to be real human beings. Once we've become real, we're good to die because we've now fully lived. So don't get me wrong. I'm a grandpa and I still have lots of kids under my roof that I'm raising. And so I seek to live to raise those kids. But if I go, I'm fully alive. I'm a real man. What a privilege to live to be a real person. What a privilege. What an honor. So thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Kiwawe. Thank you for being real human beings. Wopila Plami Atewa Kantanka. I'll do that, Kiwahi, and I'll be quiet now and listen. And I'll share a song that my auntie kept sharing with me that I'll share when she left us. And so this is the song that she had me keep singing for her as she breathed her last breath. Thank you all.
So just one more thing, I accidentally sent a picture of myself to everyone. If you don't, you're getting a kick out of me, aren't you, Kiawe?
Yeah.
It's okay to laugh, you guys. Just laugh with me.
Thank you all for your energy. I appreciate you guys. And I appreciate this opportunity to be here with you all. And thank you, Dan, for agreeing to do the closing out prayer. Always enjoy your words. And Shirley, as always, and Teresa, and Steve, Sean, Ray, you guys mean a lot to me. Everybody on here does. Thank you all for sharing this with me. And I really, 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 really appreciate you guys hearing, the words that my ancestors have, given to me, and that I'm still listening. And I hope one day I can be an elder too. I hope one day that when that day comes, that I will have the proper guidance and tools necessary to me, so that I can give these gifts to, the ones that are coming next, so that they can further, our people in general to a better place, and they can usher us into a new time of existence, one that doesn't have all the, back and forth of 2 sides or 5 sides or whatever happens, that we'll all just go forward. And I think that we're starting to do that now. I appreciate you guys for taking steps with me and helping me throughout this. Thank you guys. And if you will, Dan, thank you.
Mitakipi. Several of you have heard this song now more than once because I felt moved to share it, but it's a beautiful song of the eagle, the spotted eagle. And in this song, I'm not going to sing. We don't sing songs we also use in ceremony. We only sing 2 push-ups when we're in a public place like this. So we don't want to lose the medicine of the song, but I want to bring the medicine of the song to my relatives listening. And so I just sing 2 push-ups, just so you understand. Different nations do it different ways. And when in Rome, I respect those different ways, but I'm just sharing our ways. And this song, those of you that heard, my auntie died of cancer, and her and her 2 sisters were older than me, of course, and always so beautiful. And they got educations. Our grandparents had 3rd, 4th grade because they ran away from boarding school. They wouldn't stay. Our parents got maybe 8th grade because they wouldn't stay either. Boarding school again. I'm also a boarding school person. And I went ahead and finished high school and college. But each of these 3 aunties finished college. And they were our educators. They came back and they were school superintendent, and they were director of tribal health and school principal and school teacher. They're awesome, awesome ladies. All of them loved Elvis. They still think Elvis is alive. Still going to Tennessee. But she, as she was dying, she would not take morphine, and the docs thought she couldn't understand, and she understood perfectly well. But she wanted to be clear in her heart and in her head as she said goodbye to her family and to her loved ones and to her children and to her grandchildren. And so she took the pain. She took the pain. And so this Spotted Eagle song, I'm going to sing the last two push-ups, because the first, it says that it's from the eagle saying, I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to fly away to take you to the seven brothers, the Pleiades, the stars. And then the push-up that I'm going to finish with says, I'm here now. And what she told me, again, is about the downy feathers and the flight feathers are the same, except for one thing. The downy feathers will provide warmth, but they will not provide flight because of what Kiawe just said, because they won't stick together. The only way the eagle can fly above that which would threaten it when it comes down to the earth to feed, which is when it's most vulnerable, the only way that it can fly is for each hair to adhere to the hair next to it. Not the one over there, not the one over there, but the one right next to it. And so only if each of us will support and stick to each one that's right beside us, will we be able to rise above these challenges that tick us. And her last words, now my brother, I shared a kidney with my older brother. This is honestly his last words. I went out in the hallway to tell him, Fred is dying. He's got several minutes between each breath. We call that Cheyne-Stokes breathing, a death rattle. If you want to be with your dad when he lets out his last breath, come in now. They all come in, my brother's wife, his three kids. My brother Fred sits up and says, Dad, you're still a horse's ass. And then he died. Oh dear. Well, my aunt said, so she said something nice to me. And my grandpa told me he was going to had a 50-50 chance of seeing Elvis. So how was that for humor on your deathbed? I was hoping for the eagle wing. I wanted to fan. But my auntie told me, Dan, I am flying higher than I've ever flown before, because she told me that when the storm comes, the draft carries the eagle above the storm unless it has the chicks to cover and protect from the storm. So when the storms of life come, I encourage you to take the power of the eagle, the medicine of the eagle. Stick to that one to your left, to your right. Stick right with them. That's your relative, and rise above. And however high that storm takes you, you'll go above it. Eche wambli glaska wanuka ke hapiku wana uelo way oh way I way oh way oh way way oh way I oh way oh way oh way I oh way oh way way oh way I way oh way I way oh way I way oh way oh way Eche wamli glaska wanuka ke hapiku wana iwelo way oh way I way oh way oh way Opera tu kashla wakantanka uchimala yelo tu kashla zona chipelo Almataku ye oyasin. Thank you all. Thank you, Kiawe. Thank you, Steve and Ray, Sean, Shirley, Teresa, all of you.
Takiase, Doc. Thank you very much. We're nearing the end of our time. I want to thank everyone for being part of the broadcast today. And we will meet again on March 5th to conclude this series, this Winter Living series, March 5th, 1 to 3 p.m. Central. Should be on your registration, the continuing registration. Otherwise, you'll get an announcement out in the mail. I think Kiawe has agreed to forward some of the documents he shared today, and we'll have Ella send those out via email to everyone in a post-event follow-up along with the GIPRA survey. If you have a chance to complete that survey, we would appreciate it. So until then, I want to thank all the panelists and all of the participants, those that shared and those that just listened and were part of this event. So thank you very much. I'm going to sign off here now, live from the University of Iowa. I want to thank Kiawe again for his fantastic lead, and Doc Foster for closing us out in the right way. So thank you very much, everyone. Until next time, stay safe, stay connected, and stay healthy.
Thank you, Steve.